In between the lines here, I'm with my partner, Joe Hamilton. We have a super fun episode and a lot of great things to discuss. But first off, I want to ask you, how are you doing, brother?
Hey man, I'm doing outstanding. I can't complain at all. This is an outstanding time. It's an outstanding time for me now. Going into the weekend tomorrow, I get to see my sister Latia Williams box and try to go 2-0 and trying to hold up a championship belt. And the weekend also starts the 12-team playoffs in college football starts on Friday night, and with that, all the home stadiums that's going to be hosting a playoff game. I'm excited about that. Historic teams hosting playoff games, and that's it, man. Just ready to talk sports up and chop it up with you, man, in between the lines. How you doing, my brother?
I'm blessed. And like you said, so many things to look forward to, whether it's seeing Tia go ahead and be victorious tomorrow as we take this second step, or looking forward to the playoffs. Of course, my Ohio State Buckeyes will be playing. I don't like the way that we backdoored our way in the playoffs, but we here now. So what's the point of complaining? We might as well do what it is that we're supposed to do, and that's just win. Now, will we do that?
High expectations, man. That's high expectations. A lot of people would say, who do you guys think y'all are by expecting to be a championship team each and every year? And if y'all don't make it to the championship, or win the national championship, then it's a failure. Be careful. That grass is not green on the other side.
Well, one thing I've always prided myself in being Ohio State Buckeye is it's championship or bust for me every year. So, if we was to lose a game early in the season, more likely than not, I wouldn't be tapped in too often because I know our chances of winning the championship are slim to none, but we could run the table. However, as of late, again, why you can understand my disgust for Ryan Day, we ain't been getting the job done in November. Even when we got backdoored our way, we still not getting the job done. So, he on the clock. Somehow he got made it thus far, but he's on the clock.
I tend to agree with you, but you can't fire a guy that's going to perennially win you 11 games each and every year. Who are you going to get? So I understand the frustration. Anybody just can't do it, man.
This is Ohio State program, and I think we can get Prime up out of there if need be. I don't care if we got to get Eddie George. Hell, Mike Vrabel. It's a lot of players. It's a long list of other people. Ohio State is not the program to be saying who we gonna get. We ain't the Lakers, or we ain't none of these other programs where you nah. This is the Ohio State. I don't care if we got to get Urban Meyer back.
I think there you go. I think you're being a little cocky with being the Ohio State and saying championship or bust. Outstanding program, no doubt about it. But goodness, if it's not Urban Meyer, when is the last time you won a championship? So it's not like every other year or every 4 years.
But we in it.
No, y'all not. I mean, y'all in it. Y'all in it this year too.
We just had the opportunity. A few years ago, we should have beat Georgia. Marvin Harrison got knocked out of the game.
Yeah, but that was the semifinal. That's what I'm saying, Vaughn. I understand what you're saying. Y'all are a big time program, but y'all hadn't won a championship since 2014. So I mean, that's all I'm talking about. So to say it's championship or bust. I mean, goodness, it's not just Ryan Day. Ryan Day, there's been a lot of coaches that's failed at Ohio State as far as being championship or bust.
Well, we got to remember, with Michigan just now winning a championship in so long, with you saying you just ain't won a championship since 2014, let us remind you that it's a lot of programs that ain't won no championship or ain't won them since the 90s. So
that's my point. That's my point.
We've been right there. We one play away every time. Away.
That is what I'm giving you credit for. But when you hand me championship or bust, I can't go there.
I'm just saying that's my expectations. I'm not saying that's what the expectations of the program should be, but it should be.
Yeah, but Ryan Day is there giving you that opportunity. Again,
for my 30+ years of living, I haven't seen where we was just okay with what Ryan Day is doing. I've lived through Tressel. I've lived through Urban Myers. I'm not gonna say that we okay with what Day is doing. If we can't beat Michigan, we got to find another option. That's just how I feel about that.
I like that.
If we can't beat Michigan, However, we gonna go in as we discussed previously, and for all of those supporters that checked out and enjoyed our previous episode with Tia and Coach Musa. Joe, what were some of the takeaways, of course, that you found learning from Coach Musa and just being in the ring, the environment we was in?
Well, I mean, the thing that I look back on, and as I was just brainstorming, sitting down with Tia and Coach Musa, their relationship, that's what hit me in a way that I was surprised, and that surprised that I didn't think it existed. But the back and forth, when Coach Musa talks, Tia is looking him dead in his eyes. When he's talking, when she's talking, he's absorbing everything she has to say. That relationship is a give-take relationship. Coach Musa was already meeting Tia halfway because he sees the passion, he sees the want to, he sees that Tia might have some down days where she might not want to be in the gym, going there, or want to get up and make it there. But once she gets in there, she's ready to work, and she's giving her total mind, body, and soul to Coach Musa with ultimate trust. So my takeaway is just that relationship, that when Tia gets in that ring and anything Coach Musa says to her, she believes it can work. She has the ultimate faith in him. And also Coach Musa has, I didn't know that he didn't ever train a lady before, a young woman before, and to take on Tia and the excitement he has in Tia to see where she can go shows about how developed their relationship is and is becoming.
No, I absolutely agree. And the knowledge, I just continuously tell Tia, we want to make sure that we listening to Coach Musa. And I seen, and we gonna take a look at a clip of Tia live in the first round. One thing that I realized when I had asked Tia, just thinking about the interview, is like, what do you think about when you hear the bell ring? It's like, I don't think about nothing. I'm in my comfort zone. I'm flowing at this point. It's just natural. It's my instincts. It's all the training that we done that let me know that she's more than prepared. A lot of folks don't necessarily, and maybe you can talk about this, because a lot of times playing in sports, you playing in a team sport, when you go on the road, at least you got your teammates with you. Sometimes you might have a band. You have all the Yellow Jacket Nation. Tia going out there, it's her, Coach Musa, and legend. There's nobody else going out there with her. Of course, she has all the supporters and the believers cheering her on, but not the actual physical. And she do have fans that she has absorbed, the new fans that have got a liking to her. But you going out there more so by yourself, just a mental block that, hey, it's me and Coach. And that's why I think that connection that you mentioned is most important. And that's what wheeled us the victory in this first round, because it was not easy. This first round matchup was not easy.
You hit the nail on the head when you talk about the individual. Boxing is an individual sport, and there's no doubt about it that Coach Musa is in the corner. He's going to give her tips. He's going to be yelling, duck, jab, get out of there. Use your head, bob and weave. All those type of things, get your distance, grab her, lock her up type things, anything that a coach would do in a boxing ring. But there's nobody you can lean on. There's no break you can take other than, after the, 2 minute, 3 minute is up, that you go to the corner. But once you're in that battle, if I'm in a football game, Vaughn, I can kind of rest a little bit between plays. If I hand the ball off, I can, haphazardly carry out my fake, or I can take a breather and walk back to the line or do something like that. There's no breather. There's no, take a break when you want to see you in that ring. It's you have to suck it up. You have to trust your training. And, oh, by the way, somebody's coming to knock your head off. So the respect I got for those individual sports, especially boxing, that is mano on mano, woman on woman, and no guts, no glory. And I'm telling you, I'm so impressed with Tia. I was so impressed with her first bout. The determination, the grit, the fight through, the trusting of her training, and just the will to win. I was very, very, very excited. I kind of like the fact that it was a 3-round bout, that she got somewhat tested. It was still, everybody except one had her winning every round 10-9, but one voter gave, I think it was the last round, maybe the second
Yeah, it
round.
was round three.
Round 3, 9-10 in favor of the young lady from Chicago. But with that fight, I love the fact that Tia got tested, got pushed to the limit, and she responded well. A+ passing that test.
No, absolutely. And one thing, looking towards our next opponent, and as our viewers just get a chance to see, those that may have missed it, you missing excitement. I seen Tia again bouncing around, using her footwork, excessively throwing that hook and landing it, but it was a test of will, and this is something that we was looking forward to. This next fight that we have upcoming, I'm looking forward to lay her down. I'm looking forward to lay this next opponent down. Not saying that the next opponent is not a tough opponent either, because she certainly is, and she gonna want to battle herself. But we ain't done yet. That's all I know. And we looking forward to this next opponent, and that's gonna be at 12 noon as of Friday. And as we go back here, I don't want to. It's just exciting to see. I feel like, as you can also see, Tia was she was absorbing some shots as well. This was her first time really even, but she said she really wasn't feeling it.
Well, I mean, she was determined, and it was almost that her adrenaline was carrying her through. Her training was carrying her through. Her competitive spirit was there on the forefront. We see all that. And she was moving. She never got frustrated. And that's another thing. Maybe Tia's mindset is to, get rid of her opponent early, knock them down with her vicious left hook or left straight. That was all the combination, 1-2 combination that she was delivering. But at the end of the day, I didn't see the frustration that Brianna, the young girl from Chicago, that she wasn't falling. Tia gave her some very, very hard shots, and the girl was still coming and approaching and still, making her way towards Tia. And sometimes as a boxer, that can be frustration, or it can get you a little bit frustrated. Like, I'm giving this young lady, I'm giving her all I got, and she's not budging, she's still coming. But I didn't see Tia get down on herself. I saw her kept plugging, kept to her game plan. And I can't wait till the next game plan. Well, the next game plan, be very aggressive. Take it to the opponent in the first round. Kind of feel your opponent out. I can't wait to see what Coach Musa and Tia has as a game plan going into her next bout.
Well, what I would say is walk her down. Walk her down. we here to relinquish punishment. So walk her down, and let's go ahead and go to this championship this Saturday. As we know, Success' birthday is this Saturday. I told Auntie I don't want nothing but that belt. We don't want nothing but the belt. So let's continue doing as you've been doing. We certainly proud. All the supporters are continuously rooting her on. But our next segment that we certainly want to get into is Joe Ham's habits for success. Now, Joe,
this is work ethic was so inspiring, and he really propelled us to the success we had just watching him work. Because you didn't want to let Joe down.
I may be the leader, but I'm in this foxhole. I'm not outside pointing and telling you to do something that I'm not willing to grind about. And here we are, right here. This is where it started. A little 13-year-old boy turned into a man, not only in this field with life lessons, but everything that was instilled. I feel honored to be back here again, man. It gives me chills every time.
Touchdown! Jose with the long run. Jose, for this would be great since we just did Heisman weekend. What is a habit for success for a Heisman finalist, or maybe even an athlete going into this next year? They looking to be a finalist. What would be a habit for success message that you would have for that athlete?
Yeah, as I thought about this, Vaughn, and this is so simple, this advice, and it's so crucial. And you can take this in the business world, you can take this in whatever endeavor you want to get into, definitely the sports world. But the number one characteristic of a champion to me, the number one, sign of somebody that's going to be successful to me, is to show up. I mean, you can imagine how simple that is. You have to show up. You can't do anything unless you show up. And how you show up is also key. So anybody that want to be a Heisman finalist going into next year, anybody like my son Skyler want to improve from his junior year to his senior year, get highly recruited. Anybody like Aunt Tia, sis right now, Tia, as far as getting her second match or trading for a big match. Anybody going into business on be the highest at their highest of levels, you show up first. Every single day, every single time it calls for you to show up and be there, show up. Show up willing to learn, show up willing to sacrifice, show up willing to empty the tank, but you show up. Nothing can be done unless you show up. There's been so many people I've ran across that just did not show up. Where were you last night? Ah, man, I overslept. Where were you last night, man? Yesterday, man, we were supposed to meet at 3 o'clock. Man, I had a long night. I couldn't make it out. If you don't show up, nothing can be accomplished. Nothing can get done. So that sounds very simple. And if you feel that anybody can show up, and that's right. If you just show up, you will get knowledge. You'll be able to see. You'll be able to gain insight. You'll be able to look at others and get some information from those guys as well, your peers. The first characteristic of a champion, and my number one step to success is to make sure you show up.
I love it, brother. I love it. I think those that's meant to show up, real leaders, is always gonna answer the call.
Yes.
That's one thing for sure. You never had to wonder, was Tom Brady gonna show up? You never had to question, is LeBron James gonna show up? They showing up and showing out. That's next level.
And I want to add this to it also, Vaughn, that we're not talking about showing up and that you're not going to make a mistake. We're not talking about showing up and you might not lose a ball game. In LeBron's case and Tom Brady's case, we're not talking about showing up and you might not lose a Super Bowl or lose an NBA Finals. Yes, but you showed up and you showed up prepared. And when you show up prepared and you show up ready for the test, that's easier for you to shake that other person's hand and be like, hey man, that's a good game. You beat me at my best. You beat me and I showed up. You just got me on this day, and check it out. I'm going to show up again next year and you're going to have to do it again. That's what champions do.
The true will and determination to bounce back is guaranteed. Well, Joe, we want to go into our next segment, one that we love, which is In Between the Lines. So for those that don't know, In Between the Lines, we're going to introduce, or we're going to talk about a topic like Devontae Campbell, who pretty much just did not want to get in between the lines or did not want to get in the game. And then once we introduce the topic, Joe tells us, is it in between the lines or is it out of bounds, where he completely disagrees, and then I'll respond back as well. So with this, Joe, if you could tell or paint the picture what exactly happened, or if you know the quarter. From what I heard, he tried to pull an Antonio Brown.
Well, in that try, he did. And it was very, very, for me as a football player, as a competitor, as a guy that spent almost his entire youth life and some adult life in a locker room, this is embarrassing. Devontae Campbell from the San Francisco 49ers, John Lynch, my former teammate, the GM for the 49ers, and also Kyle Shanahan, the head coach, gave him an opportunity, got him away on a one-year deal from the Green Bay Packers, and he was starting. He was starting and playing well. His teammates depended on him to be available in that particular ball game. What happened, he got in his feelings on a little bit. Dre Greenlaw, who tore his Achilles in the Super Bowl, just jogging on the football field. That was his first game back. He had prepared, he had rehabbed, and Dre Greenlaw was going to get the majority of the snaps. Devontae Campbell didn't quite like that. I'm hearing all about what my research tells me and doing some reading on the situation. And the defensive coordinator, the linebackers coach, comes to Devontae Campbell in the third quarter, and they say, hey, I need you to go in. He said, I don't want to play anymore. Coach Kyle Shanahan, the head coach, was like, hey, what you doing, Devontae Campbell? What you doing, Devontae? They call him Dre. What are you doing, Dre? Nah, man, I don't want to do it anymore. I quit. From that moment on, they realized, his teammates realized, that we can't depend on you. We can't trust you. You're not there for us. And that is the ultimate no-no in a team sport, especially football, to let your players down. We know about our good Lord. He forgives us. Everybody needs forgiving. But just in the game of football, that is one of the cardinal sins that's almost unforgiven. We would rather you say you injured and you faking an injury, or you're not going out there for pregame warm-ups, or you're not starting the game, to say once the game is going, you quit. And that's basically what he did. He quit on the football team, and it's just something that I saw before with the guy from Miami years back. Vernon Davis's brother. He quit.
Vontae Davis, yeah.
Yeah, he quit at halftime. But Devondre Campbell, I don't see him. He pretty much signed his retirement letter because I don't see him playing for any other NFL team anytime soon.
Could possibly right on the sideline, and just in that mid split second, he realized this is not where he want to be, and he'd rather be doing something else?
Yes, it could be. I'm going to give him the benefit of that doubt because I don't know exactly. You have to be very, very cautious these days, Vaughn, because with the mental health and things you don't know about, you don't want to be calling somebody out when, they're dealing with something internal that we don't, something might happen in their lives that we quite don't know, they hadn't shared with anybody. But where are you going? This halftime, you didn't have anything scheduled to go because you were scheduling to play a 4-quarter game. Yeah. So where were you going to go? Bottom line is that nothing else was going on except he was in his feelings about playing time. Maybe he was getting blocked. Maybe somebody ran him over. It was a hard tackle. Somebody ran through him. But this is a veteran. This is not a rookie, second-year guy that came in and he couldn't take physical contact. This is a veteran that was in the third quarter and he decided to quit on his teammates. And to get that trust, even to get a friendship back like that, he's going to have to do some really, really talking to me. I'm not speaking for anybody else. You quit on our team. You quit on me, your linebacker buddy, your defensive line, your secondary buddy that we go to war, so to speak, with, or against the opponent. You left us out to dry like that. Man, it's going to have to be some explaining and some real soul searching for me to forgive that one.
Well, Joe say Devondre Campbell is out of bounds because you did not.
Completely out of bounds.
You did not show up. Now, this situation or this topic in discussion is so many different angles that you can begin with. I'm gonna say it like this, Joe. Do you feel like in regard, we're going to take this angle. Do you feel like in regards to athletes or their relationships, of course, this is the Heisman. This is the Heisman winner. I feel she may be getting more flack than necessary, but at the same time, I can understand because this is the Heisman winner. Would you say, not just speaking on a relationship, but is the fact that the girlfriend is even a discussion for the Heisman winner, you being a Heisman finalist, is the fact that the girlfriend is even a discussion during this time after he just won the Heisman? Is that in between the lines or is that out of bounds?
In between the lines.
That's in between the lines. Okay.
It's in between the lines, Vaughn, and I'll tell you why. And this is wholeheartedly how I feel, and I'm very convicted on this statement I'm about to say to you. If you live your life on social media, if you live your life publicly, if you share your girlfriend and the things you guys do publicly, you talk about your wedding and you show the ring that you gave her publicly, you say all those things on the internet, and y'all have Zoom calls and TikToks, y'all dance on that publicly. Yes, if you do all those things publicly as the girlfriend of a Heisman Trophy winner, when the spotlight are on you, the spotlight doesn't know, or the critics or even the fan support and your supporters, they don't turn it off. They want your entire life. When you give them a little glimpse of your life, they want it all at that point. They wanted it to keep coming. They want you to keep posting. They want you to keep talking about things. So when you put your life that way, in which they didn't have to put it publicly, that's how people are going to respond. There are going to be some people in your corner and clap, clap, clap and say, no big deal. Let's move on. This is about Travis Hunter. Why are we talking about his girlfriend, Leanna? And there's going to be other haters in the other corner picking every little piece apart about what you do and how she acts, her body language. I'm not talking about unnecessary topics you're talking about what she's wearing. You're talking about how she's sitting. Yeah. You're talking about how she's sighing and how she's looking and all those type things. So the criticism, the critique of it, the clapping, the applause, all those things are in between the lines to me, Vaughn, because They put it publicly, so you have to accept it publicly. They were the first one to throw the first pitch of being a public couple.
Well, I'll also say this, and I may be mistaken, but I haven't heard or I haven't seen much of any of our Jewish commentators or anybody necessarily other than the African American community even dig into the couple or anything that they got going on. Everybody else been talking about the Heisman on the football field. That's just something that I've noticed. So for me, I say, like I told you before we got on here, I tell my wife all the time, tell Jess all the time, I ain't got no business talking about what they 20, 21 years old, whatever, however old they are, whatever they got going on. I really don't pay too much attention to it. But like you just mentioned, I think you just brought a great point. When you showing everything, you always streaming, y'all been together for quite some time, it come with it. So
Yes.
you know, you can't take the love, you gotta accept the love with the hate.
And to give you an example of that in the same vein and in the same conversation, do we know anything about, and I know he's not the Heisman Trophy winner and he's not a Heisman Trophy finalist, but he's a guy in the spotlight. Do we hear anything about Shedeur Sanders' relationship with a female
No.
or a significant other? He has chosen to not put any of those things in the spotlight. You know, maybe it might come out a little bit later that he's been dating, or maybe somebody, has got some pictures that he's dating somebody, or even when he goes out to a restaurant, TMZ might be following him. But I don't see any posts. I don't see any TikTok. I don't see any of those things, so he's not even opening it up for that. And you can imagine some things that Shedeur Sanders did with showing his wristwatch and the flamboyancy and the flair that he has. Some people might be already dug into his past about what he's doing, but he's not living it publicly. That part of his relationship. And now you got, Travis Hunter's girlfriend going and defending and his dirty laundry about him cheating in high school and he wasn't her type. So all those things are coming up from her and from them. So I understand what you're saying about digging and African American. I understand and I get it, Vaughn. But they are putting things out. They're saying some things and causing people to dig a little deeper about what they're going or what they're saying.
That's again yet another great point. But I again just feel like for
And
me,
you got to remember, Vaughn. You got to remember too. We are talking about the Heisman Trophy winner, and we are talking about the people who we talked about. Lil Wayne, he was there. Mm-hmm. We talked about Deion Sanders, who was the Heisman on the front row. Shedeur Sanders, who was on the front row as well. And his girlfriend, who was on the front row as well. His mom spoke, who was on the front row as well. So we are talking about every person that was involved in the Heisman Trophy winner's life is who they're trying to kind of dissect it. They even looked and see why his dad wasn't there. His dad wasn't there for whatever reason. They researched a lot of things about the Heisman Trophy winner, but this got a little bit of traction while they was doing a lot of research.
Agreed. I feel like, my thing is Travis can answer all of this with his play on the field as he been having a great year. One thing Jessica is telling me, she says, well, with everybody giving all this knowledge, not even necessarily knowledge, but just trying to say, hey man, open your eyes, wake up now, do this, do that. While everybody doing all of that, they trying to look out for his best interest, and they don't want it to take away from his play or hurt him in the future. But my thing is, it ain't messed up his play all season long. So why try to act like now she gonna be the reason that his play or anything is gonna be of detriment? If anything, whatever program they running over there, keep running it, because it got you the Heisman Trophy and you about to be a top 3 pick. So that's my thought process behind with everybody trying to give Travis Hunter some form of, hey man, we gonna see this. What, y'all ain't won Heisman?
Yeah, I mean, I get where you're coming from, and again, I don't want to get too in depth about the ins and outs of their relationship. However, I think most of that suggestions and looking out for them and advice people are giving, it's a different, and you can attest to this. I definitely can attest to this as well. There's no shade on Kenya, and there's no shade on Jessica. There's no shade on Mila, your sister, my sister-in-law. Love her to death. No shade on any married woman. But as soon as they jump that broom, there's a change.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's the advice they're kind of giving him as well. This is the engagement period, the moment, but, it's going to even change. It might even get whatever the advice they're giving him. It's going to get even more magnified when y'all do get married. So make sure you nip some things in the bud. Make sure you be aware that these things might occur, that you're going to still be signing autographs. You're going to still be asked to do appearances. You're still going to have your football thing to take care of. Because that's where your bread is buttered. So don't let some distractions, if she's a distraction. And that's another thing. Travis and his group and his support group, they're going to have to decimate what is real, who are the real guys giving you real true advice. And I think he has an outstanding mentor, Deion Sanders, and the guys just trying to hate.
Or trying to get some clout.
And trying to get some clout. That's the balance I think he's going to have to go through, Vaughn. The fact that I'm going to listen to this guy because he really has my best interest in mind or in sight, or this guy over here just trying to dig in and trying to find some dirt, just some social media clicks.
Absolutely. Well, since we've been talking about champions only, this is more so in regards to Tank Davis. Now, I want to ask you, Joe, is Tank in between the lines or out of bounds for saying he will retire next year?
Oh, man. Vonnie Rule, he's in between the lines. He's in between the lines because I can't possibly say about Mr. Davis. I'm going to call him Mr. Davis, and I'm going to call him Champ. I can't possibly say the Champ is out of bounds because he's been through a boxing experience. He's been through experience, and they say that training is grueling. That sacrifice is like none other. That you're in there and that you have to dig deep down in your soul to go and fight somebody for three rounds, take a break, and do it again. And then in 6 or 7 months, you do it again. The climb to the top is very, very steep. It's very, very hard. And I think he wants to be cognizant. I think he wants to be having all of his functionality intact when you look at his career going forward. So he's in between the lines, and I love the fact that he's keeping it to I and what I would do. Even the advice he's giving the kids is what I would do. He's not pointing the finger at any other boxer. He's talking about from his experience, he is willing to give it up. He wants to spend more time elsewhere and making sure that he wants to seek therapy and all those type things. Because then it's up to, or maybe you look, if that kid doesn't want to take his advice about not quitting or giving it up, retiring, he might want to take it in the advice of a Floyd Mayweather Jr. that says that you don't have to fight until you don't want to fight anymore, or you want to take it like Evander Holyfield, keep fighting, keep fighting, keep fighting. So there's different options you want to go if you really want to be a professional boxer. But Tank is just showing you, Mr. Davis, the champ, is just giving us an insight of how he feels, and I totally respect it, and I think he's in between the lines.
Totally agreed. I feel like with whatever sport or mission you have, when you set out and accomplish what it is that you set out to accomplish or that you wanted to accomplish, it's only up to you whenever you want to retire. So for anybody to try and make it seem like, we feel like Barry Sanders had a lot more in the tank to give. But the great Barry Sanders gave us what he gave us during the time frame he gave it to us. My whole thing, even in regards with Tom Brady, Tom Brady was still at his top of his game as he continued to play, but nobody was going to tell Tom Brady to retire. He could have played till he was 50 if he wanted to. It was going to be when he wanted to. So when you at the top of your game and still improving, hey, who are we to tell somebody that they out of bounds for wanting to be more in touch with themselves or in touch with their family and living life with outside the lines? I agree with you, Joe. I think that was a great perspective for somebody like Tank, a knockout artist, being that boxing is such a violent sport. I like the insight that he's been providing. But like we said before, I know we mentioned, we got, if Tank does decide to step outside of the ring, we still got Tia to watch. That's for sure.
And I want to add something to it, and I got a lot of respect for Tank, the champ, because he still did not negatively talk bad about the game of boxing. He didn't say he was disgruntled. He didn't say he was not going to watch any more boxing matches. Who knows? He's probably going to build a boxing ring to where somebody can come train. He probably train fighters in the future. He's just saying, for right now, I am giving up my, getting in the ring and actually fighting. That's what I'm retiring from. He's not retiring from the love of his life, the boxing, which gave him so much joy and provided for his family and have him, set for life financially. He's just giving up the competition of it himself. So I like the fact that he's doing it and he's giving it up, but he's not saying anything negative about the game. He's talking about how he feels, and I totally respect that.
Absolutely. Well, Jose, we got to speak in regards to, like we said, we mentioned the Heisman, but it's the college football playoff going on, or that's about to begin. But before we even go there, our last in between the line segment, Charles Barkley made, and you don't necessarily quote me, but he commented yesterday and said that he does not believe adults should have toys when we talking about Christmas gifts. He don't believe in buying adults Christmas gifts. Is that statement in between the lines or out of bounds?
Out of bounds. Out of bounds. Now, did he specifically, and I know you're not quoting him, but did he say toys? Does he mean, like Transformers and Legos? And does he mean actual toys? Or he just mean gifts, period?
Well, he may be talking about, I don't think he's talking about Transforming Legos. He might be talking about cars, and because that can be considered toys as well. He just said he don't believe in buying adults. He said he don't believe in buying adults toys or giving adults gifts on Christmas.
Yeah, he's out of bounds. I think Chuck, I call him Chuck, and Charles Barkley, he's one of my favorites. That's why, I'm a Philadelphia 76ers fan. Him, Maurice Cheeks, Moses Malone, Charles Barkley, Dr. J. Really like him. You're running one of the best shows inside the NBA with, Ernie, Shaq, and then Kenny Smith. But he's out of bounds. And what I would say about this is Charles, he's lazy. He's lazy. What Charles is saying is that he wants to nullify you giving him a gift because he doesn't want to go out and shop or think about it or be thoughtful or spend some time or have Amazon or whatever doing the shopping for somebody else. Charles, we're not talking about everybody that you possibly say hey to. We're not talking about your distant friends, everybody in your Rolodex, everybody in your phone as far as saved numbers. We're talking about adults. Your daughter is an adult now. Your uncle might be an adult. Your aunt, they're adults now. Are you not going to buy them? And I'm not sure about his mom, whether his mom is living now or not. I'm thinking she is living, she's alive. His mom is an adult. You're not going to buy her a gift? What are you talking about? No adult, you should buy a gift? What about your wife? Are you going to buy her a gift? She's an adult. Come on with that, Charles. Now, you got to be more specific or just say sooner or later. Because Charles can pull our leg a little bit and say down the road, I was just joking. I'm looking for Charles in a little bit to say, I was just joking, I was just playing around, because this makes absolutely no sense to me, Vaughn, and I think he's completely out of bounds. The ball goes to the Boston Celtics, 76ers turnover.
Hey, one thing I'll say for sure, following Charles Barkley in that statement will lead a lot of guys in the doghouse. So, I'm not a role model.
Don't listen to Charles' advice on that one, bro. I agree.
So, like I said, this weekend we getting started with the college football playoff. I know you said you excited to see Clemson versus Texas or Ohio State, Tennessee. I guess we can go ahead and pick them. So, who do you like to advance, or are we going who you feel like you? I think we should go, who do you like to advance? Or matter of fact, who you got the national championship? Just tell us who you think, and I'll be moving the person around or Who do you like between SMU and Penn State?
I love Penn State. I love Penn State. I just think the physicality from Penn State at home, Happy Valley, noon game. That crowd is going to be, that campus is going to be exciting. Student section, if they're not on campus right now, or then the winter break, they're going to come back to campus and they're going to support that team in the cold weather. The cold weather for SMU, that type team, you can't practice that, you can't simulate that. Now they're gutsy, they're gamed, but I just think Penn State, the physicality and the depth is going to take over that game.
Well, Joe, I'm starting to think before we even get to it, as I'm looking at the brackets here, something's telling me that you picking all home teams.
Yes, that would be correct. And especially for this first round, and I must say, the reason why I am so excited about this first round, and I'm excited about the entire sheet, the entire bracket leading up to to crowning a national champion. But look where we are playing, Vaughn. Look where we are playing. We're playing at historic stadiums. You got tomorrow night, man, Indiana versus Notre Dame, which I'm picking Notre Dame, in South Bend at night, a playoff game. Man, that's history. Then you have, like I alluded to, Penn State. Happy Valley.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 105, 110 strong in a playoff game. And then in 4 o'clock on Saturday, you got Clemson at Texas. Austin, Texas. Now that's two powerhouse. That's two name brand in Clemson and Texas. That matchup excites me. And that matchup, I'm taking Texas as well. Although I think Dabo Swinney and his coaching staff, they're going to have those guys ready to play. And your boys, imagine that. Take everything out of it. Take fan favorite, take anything. If you're just a college football enthusiast, you have Tennessee going down at night to the Horseshoe. My goodness, that's another 105, 110,000. So, man, that excitement for those games, how it's going to be ready, set up, loud, home field advantage. I'm looking for the first round, no doubt about it. And the quarterfinals, yes, and also the semifinals and then the national championship, yes. But my goodness, it's going to be very, very exciting to watch this, especially this past weekend. You asked me about my favorite. You asked me about who I think is going to be there or represent for the national championship. And here goes my answer. I have Ohio State playing against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. And the the Ohio State Buckeyes holding up the trophy.
Well, I'm not disappointed by that pick. I think we got a lot to see. A lot of people would say that, the day and the age that they see old Joe Ham picking Georgia, who might be the favorites. But while we mentioned breaking news, they did say that Tyson Beck is not looking forward, or they not looking forward to seeing Tyson Beck possibly
Carson Beck,
excuse me, in the playoffs. So I'm sure that may play a role in your decision making, or in regards to you saying Notre Dame, or you just thought Notre Dame is going to beat Georgia anyway.
Nope. And I will not do that, Vaughn. I will not sit here as a sports fan, as a guy that enjoys the game and loves X's and O's. I would not let my, disdain for the Georgia Bulldogs. I love the people. I love the players. It's just that red threw me off when I went to Georgia Tech. That's all. There's no hate, but with Carson Beck, and you started a guy that hadn't started any games in his college career yet, and you are starting him on that stage in the Sugar Bowl, Louisiana, maybe against Notre Dame. I would have Georgia pick to beat Indiana, but since I picked Notre Dame to beat Indiana and Georgia to be facing Notre Dame, that's why I figured Notre Dame will beat those guys, because I don't really think that Gunnar Stockton is going to be able to lead those guys to championship semifinal. Now, again, I know Coach Kirby Smart is going to have that defense ready, and I know everybody's going to rise up and play alongside them and rally around Gunnar Stockton, but I don't think that's enough to have a guy that's been starting his first game in a big game like that. That's a little bit too big of a stage, in my opinion.
So some would say that the SEC championship, when he just was playing against Texas, was as big a stage as it's going to get. So the competition may not be as high, we would hope, but we gonna really get to see, and that's what I love about this college football playoffs.
Yes.
We gonna get to see, like how teams are saying in regards to the SEC, we get to see even Boise State, SMU get to make a chance or make a splash to see if the Cinderella story is for real in college football, or if that's only a dream in basketball, because these powerhouses such as Ohio State, I agree with you with Ohio State. I think we got one of the toughest roads, but I like our chances against Oregon. I see we should be. I think Tennessee gonna come ready to play, but we should win, dominate, and win. And then we looking for Oregon for a battle. It's not going to be easy against Oregon. I like Texas as well. I like Texas to beat Arizona State. I like Ohio State and Texas to have a brawl. But, I'm never going to go against the Buckeyes. I like us to win it all, and I think we're going to play against Georgia. I think Georgia got the easiest road. Not now with their quarterback. They now having a backup quarterback, but just team-wise, like I said, it's a gauntlet over there. You going through Texas, Clemson, Oregon. It's not even for Oregon. It's not easy if they play Ohio State and then got to play Texas or Clemson. But Georgia just need to beat Notre Dame. Then they got to play Boise or SMU, Penn State. Yeah, I think I like Georgia chances, but I like your pick, Joe. I sincerely.
Yeah, exactly. If somehow you can't change your pick. You can't change it up, and I understand that. But if somehow tomorrow night Indiana beats Notre Dame, then Georgia's going to go all the way in there. Because I don't think I would pick Georgia over Penn State. I would pick Georgia over SMU, and I would pick Georgia over who else would they face? Boise State. So yeah, those are the matchup. And again, I don't think Oregon could beat Ohio State again. That was the quarterback, let the time run out in the waning seconds against the game against Oregon, only losing by 1 point in the first battle. And I want to ask you about this, Vaughn, just to see how you feel about even college basketball and now the college football and 12-team playoffs. Do you want a matchup, or would you like a matchup, Arizona State against Boise State for the national championship? Do you want a Cinderella to go all the way to the top? Do you want somebody to shake up the world? Or you would rather guys that, the blue bloods and the perennial powerhouses to be fighting for or be in the national championship game?
I like the ability for these teams to prove it. If they in the national championship, yeah, I do like it. But if they get blew out, I like that too. Because now you finally against the top dogs. So, I always feel like in competition, you got to win. You win, you advance. So I feel like I understand the gripe from years to past, but we can't talk about the past system. This new system allows you to get in. Now you just got to show up.
And that brings up a great point now, because Boise State, y'all been moaning and groaning and complaining for a long time that y'all should be in, and why don't the national pundits give us our respect? Here it goes. You have your respect now. Let's see what you're gonna do with it.
Absolutely, and this is in between the lines, Joe. Is there any? I always ask you for takeaways, but not necessarily takeaway, but closing remarks that you might want to provide for our listeners. Or, anybody, you can address who the remark may be towards. Maybe it's something you want to tell Tia, because she'll be seeing this going into this championship run or going into her championship game. But any remarks that you certainly want to leave us before we close out our episode?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. What I was thinking about is that I'm thinking wholeheartedly about Tia. I'm thinking wholeheartedly about how she is giving me more of a passion for boxing. I loved boxing before, but to be in that ring, interviewing her and Coach Musa, to see her in her first fight, the determination and just the skill set, to be able to transform or be an all-world basketball player, dominating, and then to transform into another love and her passion for boxing and doing it and not letting anybody tell her that she can't do it. Her will. I'm just rooting so hard. Every hit that she took and that bout on Wednesday, I thought I was taking it. I said, ow, ow, ow. I was in the ring with her, and she just gutted it out. I'm so proud of her, and all I can say is just bring it home, Tia, and I know you will. You've already claimed it. You already said that that's what you're going to do. That's what you're there for. One-sided or one mind, one focus, one track mind, and I love it. Shout out to Tia. You go, girl.
And lastly, one thing she brought to my attention today, and then I think she wouldn't mind me sharing. She said 9 months. In 9 months, she right now is at least the top 4 in the nation. And I said, well, we only care about number 1, so let's go get it. And we gonna close it out.
Boy, that sounds just like you, man. Shout out to you, Vaughn, man. That's good stuff, man. Another good show, man.